So now we have the rear seats of this 68 Restomod Mustang that we're building. So to save time, what we've done is we've already disassembled, we've taken the hog rings from underneath the seat, and just to show you what the next steps are to save time with the video. So this is the original cover or upholstery that was on the seat back of the seat. So once that's removed, then we have this worn, you can see there's not a lot of support left, the worn back seat. So we'll pull that off. And then with this TMI custom kit, you have to cut and remove all of the springs because all you're using is the base of the frame. And then I'll share with you in a moment, once you remove that, there's custom cushions that fit in here to make it easier, and then you're going to have the opening for the center console. So what we have already done, once again to save time, is we have cut all of the springs away from the frame, and it this looks really simple, other than I'm having a hard time pulling it apart. It looks really simple, but that took probably about 45 to 55 minutes to use an air tool with a cutting disc on it to nip off all of the springs. So it's a well thought out design because you're using the same frame, and then what we're going to end up doing is we'll clean this frame up. So we'll sand it and clean it up nice, and then we'll paint it before we put the new burlap on and before we put the new cushions on. So this is what you're going to end up with in the back seat of this 68 Mustang for the main frame for the seats, for the bottom of the seat. So now we'll just come over to this side. Once again, as we've done earlier, we cheated and we've removed all of the hog rings of the original upholstery. And if you look at this closely, this 68 Mustang originally it was that teal interior. So what someone has done at some point, I don't know if the camera can pick that up, but someone has painted this upholstery or tried to dye it, and you can see some marks here where the original teal bluish green color is coming through. So that was pretty common to change interior colors back then. So we'll just remove that because that would be the original seat upholstery cover from 1968. Okay, so we've removed all the hog rings, and then once again we have the worn foam here, and you can see there's not a whole lot of support here. I don't know if that would even end up with squeezing it. I don't even know if that would be 1/4 of an inch left, so it wouldn't be a very comfortable back seat right now. So we'll remove this cushion as we had done earlier before we started to film, and I'm going to catch on a nice sharp edge here. So we remove that along with the burlap, and then we're left with this same style of frame. So I'll just hold this up to simulate it being in the car. So this is what it would look like in the back of a 68 Mustang, or 67 for that matter. And then we've used an air tool with a cutting disc, and we have cut all of these wires off. Okay? So once you have nipped it all the way around, this is once again what we're going to end up with. So we're going to probably keep these cushions because we may be able to, or springs, we may be able to use this for a repair in another car later on. And then we're left with this same factory frame. So you can see the hooks here and then where it attaches in the back. So this is what we're going to be using as the back of the back seat for the support for the custom TMI interior. So I'm just going to set that up against the door here. So the next step is going to be using these formed fitted cushions that came with the TMI kit. So this is obviously going to be the driver's side rear or the left rear cushion, and this will be the rear back of that. So once I flip this over, you can see that these are injected molded foam, and they have a burlap type of material that has already been adhered to the back of the foam for a backing. And then you can see the nice shape that they've already created and the ribs, and then you can see how much support there is in the side. So this is on the inside. So if you can visualize, there's going to be a full-size console for the people in the back seat. That's why these edges are so straight and clean. So we have the cushion, and then this is the back of the seat. on that same side. And you can see here, same idea. It's nice and injected mold, and then they have the burlap type material that's on there. So after we have the upholstery put on these pieces of foam, what we'll end up doing is we're going to set the cushion into that section. And if I show you, this fits really, really well. So well thought out by TMI, because the form, it's a form fit. It sits on top of that seat. It runs across the rib as it should. And then you have the main supports here to support that cushion when it's in the back of the car. So that's going to work quite nicely. So in the instructions, they suggest that you don't need to use burlap, and you can just use an adhesive material and spray glue onto this cushion and onto the frame, or use a two-part contact cement to set this on before you upholster it. I think I'm going to prefer to use burlap first, so that there's a barrier between the frame and this cushion before we set the foam and upholstery on. And then the back of the back seat will simply do the same idea. It's going to hang over the top and fit that edge quite nicely. Okay, and you can see once again, if I get my head out of the way, you can see along here, this is a perfect fit. So we go to put the upholstery on, it's going to curl, and we've got a nice rail all the way across the bottom for the hog ring pliers. So I'll just grab this other seat so we get a better visual. So this obviously is the passenger rear seat cushion and back. So we'll set the back of the passenger cushion on, like so. And then we'll set the bottom seat cushion in the frame. Okay, so you can see this section that's left over, or hollow, that's going to be the area that we'll share shortly, where the full custom console is going to come up from the rear speaker shelf. It's going to cascade down through the back seat. So let's just move this over this way. Okay, so it'll cascade from the speaker shelf, come straight down here, and then across. And there's a couple of cup holders. So if you can imagine how much nicer this is going to look, or sportier, the 68 Mustang will look with this type of interior. It looks like a complete custom. However, you are still using the Ford frames for both the back and the cushion. And then we'll show you shortly, these are the upholstered material. We'll be adding the steel rods for reinforcements to maintain the shape. Then we'll end up upholstering these, or fastening them onto the cushions, and we'll do it all individually. So it's going to look pretty sharp. That's the back of the one side, and then this is the cushion, but I just grabbed the wrong one, so it's of the other. So you'll see it's going to have a nice contour. It has, just like the front seats we showed you earlier, has the nice suede set on either side, and then the breathable ventilation, and then very, very well made, in my opinion, in terms of the stitching and where the wire runners are going to go. So I think it's going to be pretty smart. So we're quite excited. We'll go on to the next step, where we'll upholster these, and then we'll share with you what they look upholstered, how nice they look, and then our big console. So thanks for watching, and ready for the next step. So here we are with the 68 custom Mustang back seat. The last thing you viewed was the plain frame for the back and also for the seat. So now what we've done is we have them upholstered. So I'll just stand these up. So you can see we've got the same stitching for these seats as we do to match the front bucket seats. So I'll just lay this down so you can see on the back, as I mentioned in the earlier video, that we had the plain frame. I put new black burlap on first, and then you saw the formed foam that we set on, and then the material. So the material, or covers, have wires in these grooves that we hog ring to the foam first, and you can see how nice the shape is and the contour. So the upholstery fits very, very nicely. It has suede inserts, as we mentioned earlier. So this is the very back of the 68 Mustang seat. So I'm just going to kind of lean that up against here. Because what I'm going to try to do is show you the whole setup and also the console and kind of what it's going to look like in the car. So this, I'm really impressed with the contour and the shape and how tight we were able to get the upholstery. So TMI obviously did a really nice job with the pattern. Now part of it, I don't want to take all the credit because TMI did a nice job, but it's really tricky to get this upholstery line to form fit exactly with the foam, and it's extremely hard to pull the material to have these nice straight lines, but to have the bolsters fit exactly in this groove where the French stitching is, and then to have it so tight here. So it's a lot of pulling and adjusting to clamp the hog rings to lock them in place. So this took, I would think, probably about an hour per cushion to upholster this and another hour here. So basically we're about 4 hours getting this to fit properly. But now that these are done and attached to the frame and the backs are done, we'll just kind of simulate it being in the car. We'll share with you another video once we have it in the car, but we want to show the different steps involved. So the nice thing is we have this rear console, which we didn't show you before. Okay, so here is the other part of the custom interior through TMI. So this is a rear custom made console, and I'll just tilt this over so the video can catch it. This back portion is actually going to sit on the rear speaker shelf of the back window of the Mustang. So this portion is going to rest on there, and this is going to cascade down between the two seats. And then this obviously is going to be between the buckets for the rear passengers with 2 cup holders. You'll see they've got nice notches here that are going to fit in quite nicely to lock into place in the original frame bottom that Ford made. And we also have another notch here in the back at the top. And then this part will sit or rest on the speaker shelf. So just to give you an idea of what it's going to look like, we'll just try to set it in here. I think it's going to be a little too close to the garage door. So we'll just try to move these forward a little bit. And then that's going to notch down. Yeah, so it's going to look a little bit barbaric here. So you've got some gaps just because I don't have the rear seat sitting in the brackets of the actual car. But you can get a pretty good idea of how much of a custom look this converts a normal bench seat of a 67, 68 Mustang to these individual buckets with a sportier console. So I just wanted to share that with you. So this should fit quite nice. The back seat is going to go in first, and then we'll put the cushion in, and then obviously the console will set in. We're making a new speaker shelf and 2 new 6x9 speakers. So our next video we'll share with you is with this whole unit installed in the custom 68 Mustang. So if you so just wanted to share with you what it's going to look like to give you a concept or of an idea. So we'll share with you as soon as we have this installed in the car. We'll share what it looks like exactly inside. So I'm John at lastchanceautorestore.com.